Thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to be making the perfect pumpkin pie. So this pumpkin pie is going to be made from fresh sugar pie pumpkins. I've already cooked this pumpkin and I'm going to show you how I process it and get it ready for the pie. But first we're going to get started on the crust. Now if you typically buy those, frozen or refrigerated crusts in the grocery store, and that's something you enjoy. It takes some of the time and pressure off of your Thanksgiving or Christmas. You continue, go right ahead, but I'm going to show you how easy it is to make a pie crust in my food processor. So let me show you how easy this is to make in the food processor. So I am only making a 1 crust pie. So I'm going to be adding 1 cup of flour to my food processor. To that, I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I've got 1/3 plus 1 tablespoon of butter. Now you want cold butter, and I've actually cut it into little cubes. So I'm just going to throw that in there. You're gonna be so surprised when you see how easy this is. And then all I'm going to do is take a couple tablespoons of really cold ice water. Now I put ice in my water. Now you can add more, but what we're gonna do right now is just blend it up on the pulse and see if we can't get this exactly the way we want it. All right, so we're just gonna hit the pulse. Now we want it to come together because we're gonna kind of put it into a little ball. We don't want it super dry. And I can already tell it's gonna need a little bit more water. So I'm gonna go ahead and add another tablespoon. Now you only wanna add a teaspoon or a tablespoon at a time. Till all the ingredients are coming together. Mine's still very dry. I'm gonna add more water. I'm gonna open it up and look at it. It's nice and crumbly, but I want it to come together. So we're gonna add a little bit more. See how that does. Maybe one more, I think. You can hear the difference in the food processor. There it is. It's starting to pull away from the sides, and it looks like it's come together into a dough. So we're going to take it out of our food processor. Now this is just a mini food processor. If you don't have a food processor, these usually go on sale around Black Friday or what have you, so they can be pretty inexpensive. Now I'm just going to go ahead and take all these ingredients out, and I'm going to put them on a piece of plastic and let them rest in the refrigerator until we're ready to use it. So at this point, all I'm going to do is take it out and just put it right in here, kind of shape it into like a little, maybe like a little disc or a little round circle. And all I'm gonna do is just put the plastic over it like so. And now I'll kind of shape it even better now that it's in the plastic. And there you go, pie dough. Isn't that easy? This is about as easy as it gets. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in the refrigerator. I'm gonna leave it be for about a half an hour, and then we'll take it out and we'll make it into a pie crust. So now my sugar pie pumpkin is cool enough to handle. So I've already taken the skin off of some of these. All I'm gonna do is scoop out some of this seeds and some of this stringy stuff. And I'm just gonna throw them in a bowl because I'm gonna blend those up so that we can go ahead and use them in our pie. And that's it. Now there are a lot of ways that you can, pulverize this pumpkin. And I just choose to use a mixer, but you could use a blender, you could use a potato masher. I mean, I've even used a fork before. But what I want to do right now is just put this in a sieve, and I just want to let it kind of drain a little bit over the next half an hour, just to make sure if there's any additional liquids. Now this actually looks pretty thick, but we'll make sure if there's any other liquids that it comes right out. So I've had this pumpkin kind of draining for the last half hour. I didn't get much liquid off of it, but I'm gonna just drain off what I did get. So today I'm gonna be making a 9-inch pie, and all I'm gonna do is unwrap my dough that we just made, and I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of flour on my board here, a little bit on my dough. And I am just going to roll this out. Just use a little bit of flour if you need to. Don't worry about, you know, how this is working out with it being maybe needing a little bit of extra flour. That's normal. And all you're gonna do is just roll it out the size of your pan. Now you want it a little bit bigger than your pie pan. As you can see, I don't use a lot of flour, but you do need to leave some flour on here so it doesn't stick too much. But after you get it going, it usually works out really good. And all I do is I just keep turning it over and over, just like so. Now this is a really good pie crust. I've made this for years. It's the pie crust from the Betty Crocker cookbook. All I do is fold my pie in half, and when I have enough that it's gonna be going over the side of the pie plate, then I just kind of do this. Now I want a little bit of extra pie dough right here. So I'm just going to add this. I mean, this really couldn't be much easier. All right. Okay, so all we're gonna do now, I'm gonna trim the edges because they are a little bit longer than what I'm looking for. But make sure that your pie dough is nice and flat to the pan, just like this. And I'm gonna trim about, I just want it nice and even, just so it's like maybe 1/4 of an inch, something like that. All I wanna be able to do is kind of tuck these under and just make a nice little rim for my pie dough. And that's it. All I'm gonna do is just tuck this a little bit all the way around. Just like so. And there's a lot of designs you can do for pie dough. There's all kinds of ways you can do it. This is the one I like the best, so it's what I typically do. And all I do is take my finger and my thumb and 2 fingers and just kind of make an indentation, and it just makes a really pretty little edge. And I'm just gonna go around this, make sure everything's tucked in. Now all I made was a single pie dough. You can actually, I have a recipe for a 2 pie crust, which I'm gonna link in the description below. And that's it. Pie dough is done. So all I'm gonna do is just set this aside while I make my filling. And you see there's very little extra, very little. So all I've done is I've added 2 cups of my pumpkin pie mixture. Now this has been drained. I've already measured it. And before I get started making this, I'm actually gonna turn my oven on. I want it preheated. So I'm gonna turn that on to 4 1/4. If you're enjoying this video, can you consider subscribing or leaving me a thumbs up? It really helps me grow my channel. Thanks so much. Okay, so to this we're gonna add 2 eggs. I'm just gonna add those right in. We're also gonna be adding some sugar, and we wanna add 3/4 of a cup of sugar. There you go. I'm just gonna give this a quick stir. To this, we're going to add 1 can of this evaporated milk. Now, I don't use the fat-free when I'm making pie. I want the full evaporated milk, just like so. And then I'm going to be adding some salt. I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of ground cinnamon. Now, if you'd like to substitute pumpkin pie spice for these spices, you go right ahead. I've got some ground ginger. I'm gonna be adding a 1/2 teaspoon of ground ginger. And I'm also gonna be adding a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves. And now I'm gonna mix that with a mixer. Just gonna give this a good mix. All right, so these are all of my ingredients. I'm gonna go ahead and just put these in my pie shell and get these in the oven. It's really important that you get your ingredients mixed up. You wanna make sure that all of your spices are mixed up completely. And so all you're gonna do, just give them one last stir, and you're gonna pour everything into your pie shell, just like so. And that's it. We're gonna throw this in the oven at 425, and we're gonna cook it for 15 minutes, and then we're gonna lower the heat down to 350. So we want it to cook total of an hour. That's at 425 and 350. But after about 50 minutes, I'm gonna start checking it. So let me put this in the oven, and then I'll show you how it looks when it comes out. So this is my beautiful pumpkin pie. As you can see, it's starting to kind of crack around the edges. And the way you can tell it's done, I just take a wooden skewer. You can take a knife as well. And I just put it in the middle of the pie and look to see if it's come out clean, which it has. And so I'm gonna let this settle, and then we'll cut it in just a little while. So the pie has cooled, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut a piece of this for you and let you know how it came out. It smells so good in my house, you can't even imagine. So let's see what we got here. Oh boy, I love pie of any kind, but I especially love pumpkin pie. So I'm gonna put a little bit of whipped topping on here. Just like so. Look at that. So let's give it a bite. All right, so let's give this pie a little taste test. Oh my gosh. The crust is really flaky. The pie is so good. It does not taste like your canned pumpkin. If you don't mind going to a little bit of extra work, it'll pay off. Those sugar pie pumpkins are amazing. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm gonna enjoy my pie. Have a great night. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for watching my videos. I really appreciate your support. Have a good night. Bye-bye.